Assalamu alaikum, and may peace be with you. Good afternoon, friends, family, esteemed guests, members of the Victoria Muslim community, the indigenous people of the land we are gathered on here today, and the respected allies who have stood with us during these troubling and extremely difficult times. I would like to start off by acknowledging and thanking the Rapungian people, also known as the Songhees and Eskimo First Nations communities, for their stewardship, care, and leadership on these lands. We acknowledge that we are guests on these lands today. I am deeply saddened to be here today to be speaking to you about an incident that should never have happened. A horrifying event that tragically reminds us of what happened not too long ago. It was just 2 years ago that we witnessed a horrendous attack taking place in London, Ontario. An attack where a man filled with hate took his vehicle and ran over an entire family, taking the lives of 4 Muslim Canadians, leaving a 9-year-old boy behind, orphaned. Now, here we are today, faced with adversity once again. On Sunday, December 3rd, here in Victoria, British Columbia, Chris Johnson, who was verbally accosting protesters, took his vehicle and, as seen on video, swerved his vehicle towards protesters walking on the sidewalk. Thankfully, the protester, who he almost hit, a student here in the area, was able to jump out of the way in time, dodging what could have been a fatal fate. Johnson then exited his vehicle and approached another protester, telling him to, and I quote, "go back to Jordan." Then furthermore admit to what he did by pointing towards his vehicle and saying, "You see what I just did there? That's what they do to Jews all the time." This is the result of hate. This is the result of Islamophobia, and this is the result of governance with major gaps. What happened here last Sunday was unfortunately something that has not come to surprise as many of us. Seeing the dramatic wave of increasing Islamophobia that has swept the country, and the warning signs that we have been flagging to the government for quite some time, it is time and time again that Muslims are the target of hate. In 2017, right here in Canada, we saw a 27-year-old Alexander Bissonnette enter a mosque and open fire to those peacefully praying, killing 6 people and wounding 19 others. In 2021, as mentioned earlier, we saw a man run over an entire family with his car, killing 4 members of the same family. In 2022, we saw another man enter a mosque here in Canada, wielding a hatchet and spraying bear spray at Muslim congregants peacefully praying. This is not a coincidence. Although many may not believe so, Islamophobia is very real and increasingly more of a problem than ever before. Let this incident add on to the list of attacks and be testament to the stench of Islamophobia that looms this nation. It has been worse for Muslims than it was post 9/11, an era we had thought to be in the past, yet we face a time more distressing than ever before. We have seen an alarming number of incidents and a dramatic increase in hate-motivated or related incidents towards Muslims. Just 10 days after the heinous attacks that took place on October 7th, we saw a 1,300% increase in reported incidences to NCCM, the National Council of Canadian Muslims. We do not have to look very far across the country, rather right here in the province of British Columbia. Mosques are being harassed, as well as the people attending them. Muslim students are being spat on, verbally assaulted at school, at their place of work, and are receiving threats. We are seeing reports that girls who attend protests have their personal information, such as their phone numbers and addresses, shared in WhatsApp groups targeting them. Many people who are raising awareness about what's happening in Gaza are being fired from their jobs or facing disciplinary action. Mind I say, the posts that these employees may be sharing on social media are to share such awareness are post created or corroborated by organizations like the UN, Amnesty International, UNICEF, Oxfam, and Doctors Without Borders. Again, spewing nothing anti-Semitic. Students who wear their ancestral Palestinian scarf, the kufiya, are being reprimanded at schools across the country. Muslims, Christians, Arabs, Jews, people of no religious affiliation, and the allies who support the call for a ceasefire and for the violence to end are being silenced in such a suffocating manner. We have seen social media platforms do this to its users in the recent weeks as well. Now, we will not let such acts of violence like last weekend intimidate us or try and silence us even more. We have a right to protest peacefully, and we will use it. Our community is not crime victim, nor are we asking for any special treatment. The Muslim community across the country is and has been under attack increasingly over the past few months. It is abhorrently disgusting to see how lightly this incident that took place here in Victoria has been taken. We have yet to see any real, robust condemnation of this hateful attack or solidarity with the Muslim community aside from a few tweets or recognition. We have yet to see someone from our leadership step up and speak up for the Muslim community. We met with the Chief of Police last week and have been assured that an investigation is being done thoroughly. We asked that the city to bolster security around protests and police to investigate this heinous attack on a student from our community here in British Columbia for what it clearly is, a hate-motivated crime. We also ask the city and the province to take action in protecting those exercising their right to peacefully protest. We unfortunately have politicians in this country and province who have taken it upon themselves to conflate peaceful protests with being pro-Hamas and deliberately spread misinformation about protest chants to spread hate and cause incidences like these that happened last weekend. We must stand up against misinformation, injustice, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia. They have no place in our society. We look forward to continuing working with leaders to ensure a safe, just, and peaceful place for all. I would like to now call upon our sister, Asia Ikokoi, the former president of the Muslim Student Association at the University of Victoria, currently a program manager for LCRC Leading Change and Resilience Communities, to read to you an impact statement on behalf of the victim.
Assalamu alaikum and peace upon you all. Thank you for being here. I would like to respectfully acknowledge that I live, study, and play on unceded lands of the Lekwungen, Songhees, and Esquimalt peoples whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. The past few days have not been easy, but I am happy to be sharing my story today in the spirit of love and peace towards all people, regardless of their faith or background. As a 25-year-old Muslim student, I have felt the force of rising Islamophobia, anti-Arab, and anti-Palestinian racism across Canada. On December 3rd, this fear became a reality for me while attending a peaceful protest in our city. As I attended a peaceful protest, a man intentionally attempted to ram his vehicle into me. Thankfully, I got out of the way and his attempt failed. The incident has been etched into my mind, and I have sudden flashbacks of what happened, and I can't help but live in fear. Whenever I leave my house, I ask myself anxiously, could this happen to me again? I moved to Canada from a town not so far across the border, where I saw and experienced violent Islamophobia. I moved here to seek better safety as a Muslim and human being. Yet it has been this city where I became a real victim of hate-motivated crime. A man tried to hurt me with his car. I cannot help but recall the attack in London, Ontario over 2 years ago, when 4 members of the same Muslim family were killed by a white supremacist using his truck. What would have happened if I didn't get out of the way? I feel a lot of love and support from the community here, but I don't feel much support from our leaders and elected officials. It feels they're not taking what happened to me seriously. When Ukraine was invaded, the mayor came out to be with the community and even fundraised for the victims. Yet when Palestinians in Gaza have died in the thousands, there is silence. The double standard troubles me because I feel as though the lives of Palestinians and people of color are not valued. Furthermore, the president of the university I attend released a statement about the situation overseas that was also very one-sided and did not touch on enough of the truths of Palestinian suffering. But I stand here today to reiterate my belief that every life is sacred and should be valued. I would also like to acknowledge that after the incident, the Indigenous communities who took part of these peaceful protests embraced me, and everyone who was impacted by the hateful and racist actions carried by that perpetrator. They acknowledge the impact of discrimination, racism, and hate can have on personal and community level, and they graciously offered me the support of our healing process through their own ways of learning. We should all be united to love each other, Muslims, Jews, Christians, and anyone else. We must stand against hate. We must coexist. And we must not accept any anti-Semitic or Islamophobic behavior from anyone. I will not stand for it. We must not stand for it. I hope we can come together to do the right thing. I hope our leaders can do the right thing. They must stand for love and for peace. They must stand for the protection of all lives here in Canada and abroad.